allow it. We allow it and we smile and we let them in through the door. And then eventually, when it's not ours anymore, we sit there stuck looking stupid, wondering why it's no longer ours because we allow them in the front door. And this isn't me getting on my militant shit. This is just me being real with where we are as a people, where we are in our lives, and where we are as a. We don't get the respect we deserve, but we don't demand it either.
I gotta tell you, the way white women somehow hijack the woke movement, generals around the world should be analyzing this. Just to refresh your memory, the woke movement was supposed to be about people of color not getting opportunities, the advance that they deserve, finally making that happen. And it was about that for about 8 seconds. And then somehow, white women swung their Gucci-booted feet over the fence of oppression and stuck themselves at the front of the line. I don't know how they did it. I've never heard so much complaining in my life from white women. My name is with my SUV and my heated seats. You have no idea what it's like to be me. Trash and white guys, the nerve. Where's the camera? The nerve of you white women. Listen, I don't want to speak ill of my bitches here, okay? I know. Well, let's go back in history here, okay? You guys stood by us toxic white males through centuries of our crimes against humanity. You rolled around in the blood money, and occasionally when you wanted to sneak off and hook up with a black dude, if you got caught, you said it wasn't consensual. Yeah, that's what you did. That's what you did. So why don't you shut up, sit down next to me, and take your talking to? Thank you. So, I haven't been in New York for about a year.
All right, so that was the clip that you heard from Bill Burr. Great comedian, somebody who always speaks his mind. And you know, you saw this, and a lot of people were like, wow, this is Bill. Like, this is stuff that he does and he talks about. This isn't anything that's completely off the cuff for him. If you're unfamiliar with him as a comedian, I can understand why you would think that, or be caught off guard by it, or think this was some monumental thing. But I think, well, it's monumental in a couple of ways, right? Not the fact that he said it, because again, he talks about this type of stuff very openly and very bluntly. But I think it's monumental in this case. You have a white man calling out white women for taking over, trying to use the whole woke movement for their own purpose. But then you have it done on a stage like Saturday Night Live, which is watched by so many people. So it's monumental in that case. Anytime you have someone using a platform like that to talk out about social injustice in that type of way, especially if you're calling out other white people, then that is monumental in that way. But so watching this, it got me to thinking, and I don't want to focus it on just white women. I want to really focus this conversation and where I'm going on this, on the general thing. Like, I want to make this clear before we get too far into this. The white people who are waving the flag for Black Lives Matter, who are standing on the front lines and protesting with black people, the ones who are using their white privilege, if we're going to call it that. I know some people disagree with white privilege being a thing or not, whatever. That's not, we did a whole episode on that. Go and check that out in the archives of the Awakened Soul episode on white privilege. But the thing that I wanted to, and even Bill Burr using this, while you got white people can stand by us, they can protest, they can use it. This whole movement is something that, regardless of which way it goes, they can always go back to being white. They can go back to living their lives. They can go back to living in that white privilege. They always have something. This is something that they can wear, and this analogy comes from Steph from the Gray Pill podcast, that they can wear just like wet clothing, and that once you get home, you can shed that off, take your shower, and put on wet clothing and be back in comfort. And so, and I don't want to say that to deter anyone who is standing out against racial injustice, because it is valuable. But the thing that I want to make sure that I'm using this platform and my platform to say is that while you guys can stand behind us, while you guys can protest with us, while you can call the shit out like we need to, and we do love and to have, and if you look at the way that movements have been had, we do have to have our white allies because it helps add fuel to the fire. So we do need that. I'm not trying to take away from that, but you can never understand what it means to live that day to day and to wear that. We can't take our black skin off. We can't take that off. We can't sit here and choose the way that we look, or like, we can't do that. Yes, we can choose to protest. Some choose to riot. Those are choices. But when we're talking about the injustice itself, that is not something that we have a choice in living in day to day. So by that, even Bill Burr, somebody using that platform, which I congratulate, can only understand and speak to it so much. And so this is where, like, the white wokeness comes at the expense sometimes of people of color. And by that, I mean that when you look at, like, the term woke and how it's used nowadays, right, in the mainstream media, the fact that companies like Burger King are using it for their social media ads, once the term woke has gone so far, and this is coming from somebody who, on this podcast, I used to have the Stay Woke segment each and every week of this podcast, and I stopped using it because woke isn't woke anymore. And for the people who think The Awakened Soul has anything to do with being woke, it has nothing to fucking do with being woke. So let's get that first and foremost. But I think that when these terms and phrases start being co-opted in a way, it highlights the fact of how, like, this wokeness, this anger over injustice is something that you can be angry about. You can fight for, but you can never truly understand it the same way that we understand it. And and even some of us don't understand the meaning of woke. Some of us think that stay woke is a new term. Stay woke started in the 1940s. Let's get that correct. And it was a political term that was created, of course, by Black Americans, meaning that we need to check our own awareness of the issues that are going on. This phrase woke, and then of course it came back up in the 2010s or whatever, and it got attached to the Black Lives Matter movement, which then, it filtered out other places as well. And I think when you look at, like, our causes can't even stay our causes, and not in the sense that people who support the cause should they should be able to support it. But when I say it doesn't even stay our cause, is because it then starts being used in ads. It starts being used to critique. Like, look at how many people in both the United Kingdom and America now use the term woke as a way to, like, anytime a Black person is speaking out and speaking intelligently, it's almost now used as a thing to tear us down. So it's one of those things that it grinds my gears as a Black man to sit here and to see so much, like, this word change so much that meant something to us at one point. And, now we get the fake wokeness and the people that think being woke means talking with long words and XYZ. Being woke ultimately comes back down to being aware. And a lot of the people now that are presenting themselves as woke people aren't aware of anything politically or whatever. All they do is sit there and use that woke terminology, use the appearance of being woke to sit there and push their own selfish agendas. And don't let me get on my Dr. Umar shit, right? Because I have my whole issues with him and the wokeness and whatever. But now you have the not even being aware, like being socially enlightened. But it's while I'm sitting here watching this clip or whatever, and I'm just like, I get it. But the whole subversion of woke culture, the whole subversion of being quote unquote woke, and the popular use of the phrase now, it's almost being used to help the injustices that it was meant originally to fight. So, again, I don't want to take away from his message. And then, again, this isn't just focused on this. Let's take a step back from just focusing that on Bill Burr's commentary, his comments, whatever. But when you look at how the word woke and the phrase woke and the term woke and the meaning of woke being adopted in a way now in mainstream media to both talk shit about black people, to make fun of black people, but at the same time to get our money, when you look at companies that are using it in their social media marketing, it's a slap in the face. And that's why I said, like, the Bill Burr thing isn't just, the focus is not just on white women in this case. The term woke is almost, it's not recoverable for us now. The whole meaning of it, just like Black Lives Matter is getting very close to that, in my opinion, as well. But we need to focus more on things that are going to actually help us. And so this is just my thoughts on all of this together. Again, we can only understand it so much. I mean, well, they can only understand it so much. And again, I've used my platform to say I don't like the whole division thing. Like, mainstream media is used so much to divide us, as from races, to divide us men and women, to divide everything that we have. But you have to also understand that even though you support a movement, you can never truly live it day to day. We don't have a choice in the ways that we live. We don't have a choice in the matters of being black people and treated in a country where we don't even, many of us don't even know our own history. And that gets back into the conversation of white culture and black culture. In my opinion, standing here as someone whose father is white, there is no white culture. There's European culture, there's German culture, there's French culture, there's culture as far as a countrywide culture, there's culture as far as ethnic background, but white culture is not existent. Black culture, the difference between white culture and black culture in this sense is that black people, especially in America, we don't necessarily know where our people can't come from. It's so hard to track that down. We have such a unique experience rather than other races that when you hear black culture, it's partly due to us being brought over into a country that we had no say in, living lives that we were completely separated from our history, not even allowed to learn, and education and information was withheld from us for so long that we had to start our own culture. That's why you can say black culture, but that's a whole story for a whole different way, a whole different show, I should say. But again, this is just my thoughts thinking through and my reaction to hearing this comment and the commentary that's come this far after it. You can't understand our story. Many of us don't understand our story. So to sit there and try to act as if you understand what woke is, you don't. You understand what now the mainstream media has turned woke and made it become. But we gotta keep in mind what it originally started at. If this woke thing is going to be a thing, which I don't think it is anymore. Again, that's why the Stay Woke segment went away about 1.5 to 2 years ago. Probably more like 2 years ago at this point. Because being woke is not being woke anymore. Being woke at this point now is an easy term that people want to apply to things when they think they're going to get the black people to believe that they're part of the cause, or get the black dollar, or get whatever else that comes in that way. We got to stop this. We got to stop making it easy for them. Everything that we have in life has been co-opted in some way. When you look at everything that's been African-American culture, black culture in this country, it is always taken away from us and never maintains to be ours. Just look at how the mainstream media goes. Hell, look at hip hop, for example, something that started from us. Look at our cooking, the way that we were able to take scraps and things that people didn't want and turn it into gourmet meals. And now look at how that's turned and become. Everything that is part of our culture, everything that is ingrained in us, everything that we make and means something to us eventually gets taken away, and I'm sick of it. But we also have to hold our own feet and our own people to our feet to the coals in this cases, because we allow it and we smile and we let them in through the door, and then eventually when it's not ours anymore, we're sit there stuck looking stupid, wondering why it's no longer ours because we allow them in the front door. And this isn't me getting on my militant shit. This is just me being real with where we are as a people, where we are in our lives, and where we are as we don't get the respect we deserve, but we don't demand it either. And then you wonder why things are going. Again, this is not to be anti-white. This is not that at all. This is to be pro-black. And you can be pro-black and not be anti-white. So let me make this clear. I'm not against our white brothers and sisters. I'm not against the people who actually care and to speak out and are sick of the injustice as much as we are. But you don't live it. I'm not saying that I'm against you guys at all. Let me make that clear and make that very evident to anyone who wants to try to use my words to try to turn it against something. I'm not saying that at all. I welcome any and all of our white brothers and sisters that want to stand by us and help us get through this shit and are tired of the bullshit as well. Show up and show out in the vote, and let's see how sick you really are about it. But at the same time, we need to be more selective about the people and the ways that we let our culture and our words and our terminology be used against us to continue to subjugate us. We have to get better on it. We have to. That's it. I'm letting this go. I'm getting off this subject. I'm getting off this horse. That's been my thoughts on it. You guys can let me know how you feel. Maybe some people think that I'm way off basis with this. I would love to hear you guys' opinion on it. I would love to continue to have this conversation going, but we are going to take a brief break. We're going to take a break. We're going to let the energy calm back down. We're going to get back into a fun, a creative, open space. We're going to continue the series on creative minds. We're going to bring Marco on. We're going to discuss his creative process, everything going on like that in the continued series of the creative minds. This is volume 2. We're going to just take a brief break. Let me get some water. Let me get off my Malcolm X and Martin Luther King shit. We're going to get into that segment. And after that, we'll see what happens. I'll see you guys right after this.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.